I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I would say this. I think the Giants are doing exactly what they should without their starting quarterback and with Colt McCoy. They're running the ball a lot and they're
Mhm.
letting their defense kind of take them home and take them to the finish line. And during the current, this current win streak, their defense holding, their last four opponents to 20 points or less. And we mentioned the Seahawks held Russell Wilson to just 12 points at home. And just looking through it and seeing something interesting from this preview article that I was reading earlier for the AP, the last time that the Giants had a 4-game streak allowing 21 points or fewer was 2004, but they also had a similar defensive run during their 2011 season, which, as you remember, they ended up finishing 9-7 and winning 4 straight games to win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying the Giants are going to they're not going to repeat and do that. I mean, we don't know yet. But again, I think there's a lot to say, especially for defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, on the job that he's done in pushing the right buttons. And I think we got to give credit to Dave Gettleman, Sam. When you think about some of the moves he made, signing Logan Ryan, signing Blake Martinez, making that trade for Leonard Williams, which a lot of people just basically crucified him over and saying, why are you trading for somebody who is looking like a bust? Leonard Williams looking all the most like a top 10 pick, like the Jets drafted him at number 7. So I think kudos to Patrick Graham there for getting that defense right. And when you look at these last 3 games after Arizona, should they beat the Cardinals on Sunday, they have a home game against the Browns, which, although the Browns are 9-3 and they look great, are they really for real? I don't think a lot of people are sold on the Browns
Mhm.
going into the playoffs. And then they finish the season an away game against the Ravens, who have had their own struggles themselves with Lamar Jackson, and then their season finale home game against the Dallas Cowboys. Sam, if they're able to win out and finish the season 9-7, I think Joe Judge should get serious consideration. When you think about the expectations this team had going into the season, I think a lot of Giants fans would have been happy if they had just won 6 or 7 games and showed a light, showed a spark of competitiveness throughout the season. But if they can finish 9-7, win this division with everything that's happened, how do you not have Joe Judge in serious consideration for Coach of the Year?
You gotta, because I mean, the expectations you talked about, 6, 7 wins, was with Saquon Barkley,
Exactly.
was with Daniel Jones, who didn't play last week. I mean, it's crazy that yeah, I think he definitely deserves some consideration. My pick, I'm sticking with it, Brian Flores from the Dolphins, for Coach of the Year out of there in the AFC. But I think it's a very good chance for Judge. I think. He certainly has led this team unlike any other. He comes from Belichick. He comes from New England, and it certainly shows. He goes week to week. As soon as that big win was over against Seattle, he had his team focused on this week against Arizona, and rightfully so, because the job isn't done yet. The job is certainly far from done, and we're talking about winning out for the Giants, which is possible, but it's not going to be easy. These are winnable games, but it's not games that you can just walk through. I think the Browns are certainly going to be a tough test, and then they have a couple other games here and there that'll be doable, but maybe not the easiest games to win. So I think Joe Judge definitely should get some consideration. If he can lead this team to a 9-7 season, I think he might win it. For sure, I think he might win it.
And Sam, you mentioned Bill Belichick, and that gets me to thinking about the coaching tree. Think about this season. Bill O'Brien gets canned from Houston. Matt Patricia, gone. He's out of Detroit. 2 coaches right there. People are talking about, well, is Bill Belichick, does his coaches really produce? And now you mentioned Joe Judge, and then you also mentioned Brian Flores. So it's crazy to me as it seems. I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick is arguably the GOAT in terms of NFL coaches. But again, when you consider that Matt Patricia and Bill O'Brien got fired earlier, and now we're talking about Joe Judge and Brian Flores potentially being 2 of the top candidates for Coach of the Year. I mean, I think it says a lot. It's been hit or miss, but I think when you talk about Brian Flores and Joe Judge, they seem to be that part of Bill Belichick's coaching tree that is destined for success at their respective places.
Yeah, and Judge is just making something out of nothing, I think, and that's a huge telltale sign of kind of a Coach of the Year. And Belichick, I mean, give him credit, he's an amazing coach, but he had Tom Brady and he had plenty of guys around him. Judge has not had that opportunity. I mean, sure, he's had a pretty good defense, but he's developed that. And he's had Daniel Jones, but he's developed him. He's done a nice job, and it's just a really good breath of fresh air, I think, for New York football, because We're going to get into the Jets way later, unfortunately. But that's obviously, he shakes his head there, Andrew. But that is obviously a contrasting situation with the head coach. So I think Giants fans should be very grateful of Judge. And if he can deliver this team a playoff berth, I think he's got a good chance of winning that Coach of the Year for sure.